Well, Europe here. I mean, I know I'm gonna get a lot of heat again for this, for mingling in America, and why don't you go home? Why don't you go to Europe and stuff like that? Once we have that out of the way, I would like to say one thing. What this Pam Bondi person just pulled off in front of the assembly of a parliamentary democracy, or what is supposed to be a parliamentary democracy, is just unimaginable. I get it. So you've got the separation of governmental powers. You got the executive. You got the legislative. You got the judiciary, and they have to communicate with each other, and they have to confront each other sometimes. But that happens, especially if you're gonna if it's gonna be a shouting match. That should happen between co-equals. This was not between co-equals. On the part of the legislative branch, yes, they were the elected officers of the executive branch, the representatives, the members of Congress, of the House of Representatives in this case. But the other side, the Attorney General Pam Bondi, she's not an elected officer. She's an appointed officer by an elected official in the executive branch. And in the executive branch, there's only one elected official. That's the president. So if there was going to be any shouting between these two branches, the executive branch should have sent its elected executive, not its unelected executive. And that she didn't seem to understand. You don't get to shout at elected officials as an unelected official. And she will pay the price for that when decency returns to American politics. But anyway, this needs to be sorted out. And there's also if you look at the good side, so to speak, the Democrats, well, if they can be the good side, but that's all America has now. That's the Democrats in Congress, the Senate and House of Representatives. The questions they ask and the way they go into this game, in this shouting match, if Bondi starts calling names, they also start shouting. Instead of saying, I don't wish to talk to you anymore. If that is your tone, it's insolence. It's beyond your mandate as an unelected official. We wish to be addressed with respect because we are above you as the elected officials of another branch, of a co-equal branch. But you never hear that. They go along in this game. Just say, stop shouting, lessen your tone, watch your tone, and show respect. Well, that's how it would work out in Europe anyway. But and also I mean, don't prepare your questions and get them at their own game. Because at a certain point, I mean, you have to be flexible. You don't have to prepare your questions. You just react to what she says. Don't prepare questions because then you're stuck to it. You're not flexible. For instance, at a certain moment, she says, in 2025, the FBI has arrested 1,700 sexual predators. That was her defense against any allegations of Trump being in the files and stuff. What the correct? You should take that info and attack her with it. Then you should. What should you say as a member of the House of Representatives? Oh, you've arrested 1,700 sexual predators on the basis of what kind of evidence did you arrest them? Could you describe that evidence? And then you later describe that evidence. Take a case, not all 1,700, but just give an example. Attorney General Bondi, give an example of one of those 1,700. What was the basis for arrest? And she's gonna go, oh, well, we saw things online, we saw emails. And they say, oh, fine. Oh, we saw emails. Oh, fine. Well, we'll talk again within a week. We'll come here next week and we'll go get in the files. We go look for emails. Because apparently that's enough. That's all you need. Oh, we even have videos. Would that be enough? And they'll shut her down, but also they'll destroy her. Because effectively, the week after, you'll come with similar evidence from the Epstein files. And can I say, here we are. Here is your evidence. Now go prosecute. You don't want to prosecute? Then why did you prosecute the 1,700 sexual predators in 2025? Similar evidence. And then you got her. And she's finished. She has two ways. Either go ahead with the prosecution or resign and be prosecuted herself for a gross dereliction of duty. Not dereliction, willful dereliction of duty, which arguably will bestow a much higher penalty on her. So that's how you deal with these people. That's how you really deal with these people. Use the law against them. Or use the facts against them. Don't argue with them. Use the facts against them. But because for the time being, facts plus law in the United States still counts, because you still have a kind of working and independent judicial branch, making abstraction of the highest level, the Supreme Court. So anything that's below that, it's still kind of functioning. And that brings us to the Supreme Court, which is really baffling. I mean, you got this Constitution, which is over pretty soon 250 years old. Oh, this year, 250 years old. And then all the amendments, give or take, 230 years old. And it's treated in good American fashion as a kind of set in stone, like the tablets, the Moses tablets, the 10 Commandments, which it is not. It's made by people for the people. But no, it's treated as, well, as scripture, the Constitution. But of course, society evolves. Decades, centuries, it evolves. And forcibly, that Constitution can no longer be just applicable from reading it. So what is the American invention or solution to this? It's the Supreme Court. Supreme Court, the main task of the Supreme Court is to interpret a document, to translate a document of 250 years old to the present society. Which means they have that of the output of that translation, it's 80% Supreme Court and 20% Constitution, because society has changed so much in the meantime. And well, it's just so the most powerful unchecked power in the United States is the Supreme Court. And whatever they say, you have these cases, just like Citizens United. Well, no, companies can. Constitution doesn't say anything about advertising. Didn't exist 250 years ago. So Supreme Court can interpret the First Amendment, free speech. Oh, we apply it to companies, to corporates. They're also persons. They're also entitled to protection of the First Amendment. So they can put advertising at any turn of the street. every 5 minutes on your news. They're allowed to do that to fund political campaigns. And that power is to Europeans, it's unimaginable. Europeans just change their constitution not every year, but every 10 years or 15 years or perhaps 20 years, when there are material changes in society, or whatever they think that a new right needs protecting, like gay rights. Write it in your constitution. Of course, if your constitution is 250 years old and you don't want to change it, just have it interpreted by Supreme Court. Yeah, then gay rights will always be an interpretation of and there's no way out of that. It's built in. It's baked in. And I can go on about this American system, this political system, like you have presidential elections, but then you also have elections of Congress. So the Senate every 2 years, 1/3 is re-elected, because senators have a term of 6 years, and then members of the House, representatives, have a term of 2 years. But those elections coincide also with the presidential elections, and they use the same system of first past the post. They use the elections of Congress use the same system of districting, so the gerrymandering thing comes into play, as for the presidential elections. So I get it that this districting, that you have 50 states in the United, out of 50 or 51 with Greenland, or Canada 52, that each one of these states need to be represented, and some of these, if you just look at the population, and some of them with very low populations will be at a disadvantage. I get it, but that's taken care of by the Senate. Each state has 2 representatives, and the population part is reflected in the House, because there the number of representatives is proportional to the number of inhabitants or citizens in a state. But why? So that's taken care of. The rights of states are protected through the election system for Congress. But why then again apply that same thing for the president? The president is really connected to the people. That's why it is the president of the people. But then you apply the same thing with districting and gerrymandering to elect the president instead of a popular vote. And that's just to Europeans, it's just unimaginable, because it's copy-paste. It's twice the same thing. And it goes even further. And we see that now with the Republicans in the how they slavishly follow whatever Trump tells them to vote for. So they don't act independent. They don't defend or represent their voters of their for their states, for senators, and the voters for their districts, for representatives, because they represent a district, not a state. No, they represent Trump, but he's already represented by the presidential vote. No, you're supposed to think independently. Yes, it's true. At the time of the presidential elections, people vote for you because they think you. Because, for instance, let's stick to the Republican part. Because you're a Republican, they think you will favor Trump, and that's probably true at the time of the election. But when that president started doing things that's unconstitutional, you're not a slave. I mean, that's your job at that moment to say, well, perhaps I made a mistake. What is he doing? What is it here? I'm a representative of my district, of my state. What is the Constitution? What is he doing? is it still okay? What does my constituency say? And that's completely missing. It's like uh, representatives and senators, but especially, well, both actually at the Republican side, they act like electors. You know, the electors that are appointed by the state to appoint the president at the presidential election. Well, they act like electors. We have to do we have to vote for this president, and that's it. That's not what the Constitution ever meant. That's not how what the framers, as you like to call them, that's not what they meant. And now you have a situation that, well, you actually have a dictatorship evolving because half of Congress is not doing its job of thinking independently, of defending the Constitution, of letting their president do whatever is necessary to realize his agenda, but at the same time watch that he does it within the lines of the Constitution, of the law. No, that doesn't happen. And you know what? In the elections of 24, people think that it was 50-50. No, it was not 50-50. It was 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. 1/3 for Trump, 1/3 for Harris, and 1/3 stayed at home. And why they stayed at home, you can put up innumerable theories, but one of them might be that, well, my vote is lost because of the proportional, the first past the post system, the not the proportional system, but the majority system, which is completely absent in Europe, except for perhaps the UK. So your votes are lost, so you don't go voting, and that's happened all the time for the entire life of the United States. People feel if you're in a red district and you're blue, or if you're in a blue district and you're red, you stay at home because it's lost because of the first past the post system. Now, these people that don't go vote, what is their philosophy? Well, I don't have much influence, but whoever comes out of the ballot as president, I rest assured that, well, the policy may not be, if it's the other side, may not be what I favor, but I rest assured that Congress will always guard against unconstitutional behavior of the president. That's why they have Article 2, Section 2 or Section 4, or is it the other, to impeach the president. So they don't vote, but they trust that, well, whatever happens, the Constitution will always be protected. Well, it's not. It's not. They relinquished that I mean, they forfeit. They absconded that duty. Republicans in Congress. Now that 1/3 that didn't vote, if today you would say, well, you get a chance to vote again. It's not a blue waiver, it's an ultraviolet wave. If that one silent third now gets a chance to vote again, today, MAGA or Republicans, whatever, they would lose with at least 2/3. With 1/3, they will get 1/3 if they're lucky of the vote. So those are a bit of reflections from a European who is watching this very intensely, because, of course, Europe is inevitably affected by this. Even if Europe tomorrow decides to go independent economically, technologically, militarily, it will still be dependent. And what's a good thing, because being dependent on one another is a good thing. It enlarges, it reduces costs, international trading costs. It is new exchange of technology, of wisdom, of ideas, of cooperation. All reduces social costs, economic costs. And, well, I lost my train of thought there, so I'm gonna call it a day. Hope this was useful, and until a next European rant. Thank you. Bye bye.